Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Chris. Guys, last weekend I met up with a couple of members of the vinyl community and we went shopping in Toronto. I was passing through on my way to an event in Hamilton and I met up with Brian at Embryonic Robot and Rob at Northern Revolutions. We had a great time. We talked all things vinyl, YouTube, music. It was really great to chat with those guys and get to know them a little bit other than just kind of seeing their face on a screen. And we went to a few different record stores looking for vinyl and I came away with some pretty nice records. I have my record bag here, my Stax record bag that I made good use of while I was down there. So the first shop that we went to was called Kops Records. It is on Queen Street West in Toronto. I've been there, so I used to live in Toronto, so I'm familiar with all of these shops. And I like Kops. It's got a good value bin. The value bin is like exactly how it sounds. It's value records, so you're not gonna get like mint. But you can find some decent records for a good price in the value bin. You got to watch because they're not play tested, so you do have to be a little bit careful. And then one of the things that Brian mentioned in his video was that Kops is they don't mark up their new records that much, or at least not as much as other stores do. Which, when he said that, I totally agree with you, Brian. I have found some brand new records in the shrink there, and they've been way cheaper than I would have found them anywhere else. So that was the benefit of going to Kops. Now, I just walked away with one record from Kops, and the record is found in the value bin. This is Johnny Winter, Second Winter. Despite the name, this is his third album. This is a gatefold, and this album is from 1969. There's Johnny where am I? There's Johnny right there. There's his brother Edgar Winter, who also had his own band. You'd know like Free Ride from the Edgar Winter band, but this is Johnny Winter. He's a little bit more bluesy, and this is a blues rock record. And yeah, I've shown a few Johnny Winter albums in my past videos. I really enjoy Johnny Winter. His albums aren't very expensive. You can usually find them for $5 to $10 used. He's got great like raw, just like electricity, and he you can tell he loves the rock. He loves the blues. He's got a bit of a gravelly voice, and I don't know this album that well, but I know that Johnny Winter's got a lot of good albums. So when I saw this, I was happy to grab it and add it to the collection. So that was the only thing I grabbed at Kops. After we left Kops, we walked over to Spadina Avenue and we checked out Sonic Boom Records. Now, Sonic Boom, if you've never been there, if you go to Toronto and you're looking for records, you got to go to Sonic Boom. It's a massive store. They have everything there that you could possibly want. You know, CDs, records, used records, new records. Merchandise, turntables, slip mats, everything. And they've got a gigantic selection as well. So I kind of had my sights set on a few records in particular that I thought I'd be able to find there. And I was a little disappointed because I wasn't able to find any of the ones that I had seen them there before, and I was expecting, yeah, I'll be able to get this there, and they just weren't there. So that was a little disappointing. I was chatting with Rob from Northern Revolutions. We were saying, like, I could spend $1,000 in that store. You could really go wild. But I did manage to find a couple of records that I was happy to locate. So the first one I found is Pink Floyd, Division Bell. This is Pink Floyd's penultimate album from 1994, Division Bell. So earlier this year, I managed to find The Endless River from Pink Floyd, which is their last album from 2014, which Endless River is made up mostly of kind of unused material from the Division Bell sessions. So this one, I mean, it's not, you know, some people some people, I mean, this is a good album, but people have everyone has their own favorite Pink Floyd album. This isn't that popular, but it's definitely one that I wanted to get in my collection. And these 2016 Pink Floyd remasters, reissue remasters, are really good. I have a bunch of them, and they're relatively affordable. I've never had a problem with them. They've all been like quiet, flat, sound great. So I've had no issues with them at all. So this album, I mean, it's a cool cover. This is Storm Thorgerson who did this cover, and you know, it's got like these two heads kind of in profile looking at each other, but then there's this third face here that they form: the mouth, the nose, and the two eyes. And Storm Thorgerson actually mentioned that the third face is kind of an homage to Syd Barrett, the original founder of Pink Floyd, who unfortunately had to leave because he had some mental health issues. And yeah, so it's a nice little tribute to him. I'm not as familiar with this album as I am with some of the other Pink Floyd albums, but this has been a tough one for me to find. I haven't been able to find it in many stores, and when I saw it in the bins, I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. So Division Bell, Pink Floyd, very happy to grab that. Then, as I said, I kind of was a little bit upset that I wasn't able to find some of the artists, some of the albums that I really thought I would be able to find at Sonic Boom. But right before I was leaving, I decided to check the bin for the Foo Fighters, and I found an album that I've been looking for from them. Now, I'm not the biggest Foo Fighters fan. I do really like Dave Grohl, but there's one album from them in particular. I think there's a handful of albums that I really like from them. I don't know their entire discography, but anyways, this album here, this is Wasting Light from 2011. This is, I remember when this came out, I played it endlessly. This album is actually, it's their 7th album. It was actually recorded in Dave Grohl's garage. They converted it to like a sound studio, recorded it completely in the garage, and they used all analog equipment when they recorded this. There were no computers involved, and it's so when I was there, I saw it. You know, as I do, I scanned the barcode just to see what the reviews were on Discogs, what people were saying, and there were numerous reviews from people saying like, this album sounds amazing, this album sounds great, like the rumors are true, you know, believe all of the other reviews. So I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm really excited because I think it's gonna sound good. And this is like a good, like, very rocking record. Bridge Burning, Rope, Dear Rosemary, White Limo, Arlandria, These Days, I think those were all hits off of this album, singles off of this album. And this is actually is a 45, so this is spun at 45 RPMs, which you know, I mean, I like, obviously there's more space for the information, so that's good. It'll probably sound really good, but I'm just not a huge fan of having to get up every like 12 minutes to flip a side. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, happy to grab Wasting Light, Foo Fighters. Awesome find. Okay, so that was it for Sonic Boom. We then walked about 15-20 minutes up to College Avenue, and we went to a small store that is called She Said Boom, and it is a part bookstore, part records shop. Rob was a little underwhelmed just because you go from like Sonic Boom, which is massive, to She Said Boom, that is small and quaint, but I do think, so mostly used records there, but I do think they have a very nicely curated collection of records. And I was kind of getting pressed for time at this point. My ride was coming to pick me up, and we were heading to Hamilton for this event that I had, and so I wasn't really able to jump into the bins and really search through, but I have found some gems there, and they're quite reasonably priced. So unfortunately I didn't take anything away from She Said Boom. My ride showed up, I jetted, said bye to the guys and jetted, and I drove down to Hamilton, had my event there that I was driving south for, and you know, I couldn't help but feel, as much as I enjoyed meeting Rob and meeting Brian, and it was such a cool experience to chat records and YouTube and music collecting with those guys, but I couldn't help but feel that, like, you know, I'm like, there's more. I need a, I don't know, I just, like, there was something that I just felt unfulfilled. So, the next day after the event, before we left and headed back home, I convinced my my partner, my girlfriend, to let me go to a couple thrift shops. So I went to one thrift store and it was crap. There was a really small bin of records that were just crap records. So we checked that out. And then there was another thrift store that was just about to open nearby. So I'm like, okay, let's check this one out. So I headed to that thrift shop, and it actually ended up being a pawn shop, which I didn't know at the time. But it had a nice collection of records. And so they were pretty reasonably priced. Not obviously as good as you're going to get in a thrift shop, but probably I'd say better than what you're going to find in a record store. So, and they had some really choice albums, and I could have spent some money there as well, but I restrained myself. But I did find some cool albums. So the first one I found was, this is Band of Gypsies, Jimi Hendrix. This is after the Jimi Hendrix experience broke up. I think this is early 1970, like March 1970. Hendrix kind of formed a new band, Buddy Miles on drums and Billy Cox on bass. And I think because of the new bass player and the new drummer, it's a little bit of a different sound, a little bit more funky maybe. There is a song on here called Machine Gun that's almost 13 minutes. And I know that Eddie Hazel, the guitarist for Funkadelic, has cited that song as like an inspiration for Maggot Brain, the also long, kind of drawn out guitar opener to the Maggot Brain album from Funkadelic. So I don't know this album too well, but this does not complete, but I mean, there's a ton of Hendrix albums to grab, a bunch that were released after he died, but this was a live album that was released while he was alive, and it was one that I didn't have, so I needed to grab this. So Band of Gypsies, Jimi Hendrix, decent price. I think it's going to clean up nicely, so happy to grab that. And then the last one I grabbed is this album here, Big Star. This is #1 record from Big Star. This is from 1972. Big Star is kind of like a power pop band, and this is often cited as like a very influential record. It's listed in like best records of all time. I think in like 2020 Rolling Stone list it was like 478 or something like that. So I don't know it that well, but I do know that the song In the Street, which comes from this album, was the same song they used for the opening of that 70s show, you know, hanging out down the street. That was written by Big Star, and I think it's a cover in that show. But anyways, that's how I heard about it, and I've seen a lot of people show this album and speak highly of it, and it was a really good price for the condition that it's in. It's in quite good shape. I think it'll also clean up really well. And so that was it. So you know what? After I hit that store, I felt that satisfaction that maybe I didn't get from, as much as, you know, I really enjoyed the Toronto shopping. I just felt like there was more of a score out there for me, and I got it down in Hamilton. So I inevitably went on a record road trip, and I'm stealing that term from Concert Buddy. Sorry, Concert Buddy. But yeah, a record road trip, Toronto and Hamilton. Traveled about 450 kilometers, which is about almost 300 miles to my American friends. So it was a very successful trip. Guys, let me know what you think of any of these records in the comments. Do you have them? Do you like them? And thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And whatever you do, make sure you come right back here where Stylus meets Vinyl. Thanks. See ya.